I should have died the moment his claws touched my skin. Instead, he whispered against my throat, voice rough as shattered glass, "You smell like salvation and sin. I've been waiting centuries for you." The beast in the woods had found me, and I was already marked. His stare burned through the darkness, amber eyes fixed on mine with a hunger that made my knees weak. Magic hummed under my skin, wild and electric, as if my body recognized something my mind couldn't comprehend. My name is Junia, and I am what the village calls a hedge witch, a gatherer of roots and weaver of small remedies. Nothing grand, nothing powerful enough to matter in a world where magic has teeth and kingdoms bow to those who wield it without mercy. I live on the border of the Thornvale forest, where the trees grow so thick that sunlight dies before it touches the ground. The villagers warn their children to stay away. They speak of the creature that lives in the deep, the monster with eyes like embers and a howl that turns blood to ice. They say he is cursed, that he was once a man, a warrior of an ancient bloodline, before dark magic twisted him into something unrecognizable, something feral. They say no one who enters his woods comes out the same. I never believed them, not until the night I bled on his soil, and everything changed forever. It was supposed to be a simple harvest. Moon petal grows only in the deepest parts of the forest, under the light of a waning crescent. I needed it for a tincture, a remedy for the fever spreading through the village like wildfire. I should have turned back the moment the air changed. It grew heavier the deeper I went, thick with something ancient and watchful. The trees seemed to lean inward, their branches curling like clawed fingers. My breath misted in the cold, though it was the height of summer. Then I felt it. The weight of a gaze so intense it stopped me mid-step. I turned slowly, my pulse hammering against my ribs. He stood at the edge of the clearing, half hidden in shadow. Massive, feral. His form was somewhere between man and beast. Broad shoulders covered in dark fur, claws that gleamed like obsidian, and a face that might have been handsome once, before the curse carved it into something brutal and otherworldly. But it was his eyes that held me captive. Amber, burning, fixed on me with a hunger that made my knees weak. "You shouldn't be here," he growled, his voice scraping through the silence like a blade against stone. I swallowed hard, forcing myself to stand tall even as fear coiled in my chest. "I need the moon petal. Someone will die without it." His head tilted, slow and predatory. "Many have died in these woods. What makes you different?" "Nothing," I whispered. "But I have to try." Something flickered in his gaze, maybe surprise or recognition. He moved closer, silent as smoke, until I could feel the heat radiating from his body. My heartbeat stuttered. "You're bleeding," he said softly. His eyes dropped to my arm. I looked down. A thorn had sliced through my sleeve, leaving a thin line of red across my forearm. I hadn't even felt it. Before I could respond, he reached out. His clawed hand, impossibly gentle, caught my wrist. The moment his skin touched mine, the world exploded. Magic hummed under my skin, wild and electric, surging through my veins like liquid fire. His eyes flared wide, his grip tightening as a shudder ran through his entire body. And then, God's help me, he changed. The fur receded, the claws softened, the brutal angles of his face smoothed into something devastatingly, dangerously human. He stared at me, chest heaving, his amber eyes now framed by sharp cheekbones and a jaw that could cut glass. Dark hair fell across his forehead, damp with sweat. "What are you?" he breathed, his voice raw. I couldn't answer. I couldn't think. All I could do was stare at the man before me, the monster who had become something else entirely. "I don't know," I whispered. His stare burned. He didn't let go of my wrist. "Your blood," he said, his voice still rough, still dangerous. "It broke the curse. Partially." "I don't understand." "Neither do I." He released me abruptly, stepping back as if I'd burned him, but his eyes never left mine. "But it's fading already. I can feel the beast returning." I watched as his hands trembled, claws beginning to push through his fingertips once more. Panic flickered across his face, raw and unguarded, before he crushed it down. "You need to leave," he said harshly. "Now." "No." His head snapped up. "What?" "If my blood can help you, then we figure out why." I stepped closer, ignoring every instinct screaming at me to run. "How long have you been like this?" His jaw clenched. 200 years. 200 years. Alone in these woods, trapped between forms. My chest ached. "Then let me try to help you." "Why?" His voice cracked, and for the first time I saw past the monster, past the curse, to the man beneath. "Why would you risk yourself for me?" "Because no one deserves this, not even a monster." He stared at me for a long moment, something unreadable flickering in his amber gaze. Then he nodded once, sharp and final. "My name is Fenric. Junia." He repeated it slowly, as if tasting it. Junia. The way he said my name made my heartbeat stutter. Over the next hours, I learned pieces of him. He had been a warrior once, captain of a king's guard, before a sorcerer cursed him for refusing to slaughter innocents. The curse bound him to these woods, transforming him into a beast that hungered for flesh and fury. He told me this in fragments, his voice distant, as if recounting someone else's life. 3 nights passed like a fever dream. I returned to the woods each evening, bringing supplies, researching the curse, bleeding just enough to keep him stable. Each time, the connection between us deepened. I felt him even when I was home, a constant warmth humming beneath my skin. I knew when he was in pain, when he was hungry, when he was thinking of me. And gods, he was always thinking of me. On the 4th night, I found him waiting at the edge of the clearing, fully human, his amber eyes tracking my every movement. He stepped closer, as if I belonged to him. I found something. I pulled an ancient text from my bag. The curse wasn't just meant to transform you. It was meant to bind you until your bloodline's debt was paid. What debt? Your ancestor made a bargain with a sorceress, power in exchange for a life. He never paid. I met his gaze. The curse can only be broken by someone carrying the sorceress's bloodline, someone willing to give their life freely. The color drained from his face. No. Fenric. No. He crossed to me in 2 strides, his hands framing my face with a gentleness that broke my heart. I won't let you die for me. It might be the only way. Then I stay cursed. His voice was steel. I've lived 200 years as a monster. I can live 200 more, but I will not let you sacrifice yourself. Why? I demanded, tears burning my eyes. Why does it matter? He stared at me, something fierce and possessive blazing in his amber gaze. Then he nodded once,
sharp and final. "Because you're mine," he said roughly. "From the moment your blood touched my skin, you became mine, and I protect what's mine." Magic hummed under my skin, wild and desperate.
The attack came without warning. Hunters, sent by the village to kill the beast once and for all. They found us in the clearing, found Fenric in his human form, found me standing too close to be innocent. "Witch," one of them spat. "You're protecting the monster." Fenric moved in front of me instantly, his body a wall between me and their blades. "Leave. Now. Not without your head." The first arrow flew. Fenric shifted mid-leap, his beast form exploding outward with a roar that shook the trees. He was magnificent and terrifying, all fury and fangs as he tore through them. But there were too many. A blade found its mark, sinking deep into his side. He staggered, blood streaming dark and hot. "No!" I didn't think. I just ran, throwing myself between him and the next strike. Pain exploded across my shoulder as steel bit deep. Fenric's roar shattered the night. The hunters scattered, terror finally breaking through their greed. I collapsed against him, blood soaking through my dress. He shifted back to human, catching me before I hit the ground. Junia, stay with me." "I'm okay," I whispered, even as darkness crept into my vision. "You're not." His hands were shaking as he pressed them to my wound. "Why did you do that?" "Because you're mine too," I breathed. Something in his expression cracked wide open, and then he kissed me. It was desperate and claiming, tasting of blood and magic, and 200 years of loneliness finally shattered. I felt the bond snap into place, felt his soul intertwine with mine. When he pulled back, his amber eyes were glowing. "I'm ending this," he said. "Tonight." He carried me to the heart of the forest, to a stone altar I'd never seen before. Ancient runes covered its surface, pulsing with dark magic. "Fenric, what are you doing?" "The curse requires a life," he said, laying me gently on the altar. But it never specified whose. Horror flooded through me. No, you can't." He smiled, sad and beautiful. "I can, and I will." He stepped back, raising a blade to his own chest. And then the altar exploded with light. When the brightness faded, Fenric stood whole and human. The curse marks vanished from his skin. But his eyes, they were different now. Wilder, darker. He looked down at me with an intensity that stole my breath. "It worked," I whispered. "Not the way you think." He pulled me to my feet, his hands possessive on my waist. "The curse didn't break, Junia. It transferred." My blood went cold. "What?" He leaned close, his lips brushing my ear. "Now we're both monsters, and I'm never letting you go."